Good afternoon, all of you. Can you hear me well?
Uh, yes, Mohan.
Yeah.
Yes, Mohanji.
Very happy to talk to you. And this is the first of the series, right?
Yeah, this first one.
Yeah.
Beautiful. In fact, I believe that this would really be a very useful communication, not only from my side, I'm saying, but I think it will be good interaction with a lot of people in the world. Personalities of See, what makes you a great personality? When you believe in what you do and you have that experiences connected to it, you have something to tell. So if we collect all those information, basically experiences, then it will add really good value to our lives. You know, they can be good mentors. You choose what's suitable for you, but it would be nice to hear from them, correct? So you get different points of view, which would help to position yourself. And what I feel is that like the Early Birds Club is really making remarkable difference in people's lives. And it should, because it's scientifically proven that if you wake up early and start your day, you become substantial citizens. Very stable.
So, Mohanji, sorry to interrupt. I think we all will go through a round of introduction for all the new people who are watching us live.
Yes.
Welcome everyone. Today we are extremely privileged to have Mohanji with us. So Mohanji is a globally respected philanthropist and a spiritual leader who believes in the process of evolving spiritually while living and experiencing life. An exemplary family man, erstwhile corporate professional, and a friend to all species, he freely creates and offers powerful practices such as meditations, conscious walking, and consciousness kriya to accelerate spiritual evolution. Mohanji is also a published author, a regular blogger, and a speaker at various leading institutions. He is a permanent invitee to the International Peace Pledge Project. He has also established the Mohanji Foundation, a global organization dedicated to guiding all beings towards a nonviolent, peaceful, and a compassionate existence that contributes positively to society and to our Mother Earth. With me, Aryan, I have Shreya, Shaurya, and Nanda. We would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Aryan Shivappa. I am 17 years old and I study in the 12th grade. I live in Bangalore, India. I'm a passionate debater, artist, and a book enthusiast. I love playing badminton, and I also love engaging myself in social welfare activities.
Hello, I'm Shreya and I am 18 years old. I live in Connecticut, USA, and in September, I will be joining the University of Connecticut to study computer science. I love Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam dance, and I also enjoy reading.
Hi, I'm Shaurya Yadav. I'm 13 years old and I study in the 9th grade. I live in Gurgaon, India. I'm a passionate programmer and basketball player. I am also an enthusiastic robotics engineer.
Hi, I'm Nanda Nair. I'm 15 years old and I'm in the 9th grade. I live in Singapore. I have been learning Bharatanatyam and Carnatic music since I was 6. I also play basketball and badminton. Our beloved Mohanji has started the Early Birds Club, which is an organization which aims at inculcating and instilling deep values such as compassion, ahimsa, unconditional love, and purity of thought and action, supported with a structured and productive morning routine. Our sole objective is to align our body, mind, and soul through meditation, yoga, and breathing practices. This would help us reform as better human beings and fulfill our goals with the best efficiency. The EBC is divided into 3 categories: kids, teens, and adults.
The Early Birds Teen Club is a club for young adults between 12 to 18 years of age. Through waking up early and inculcating good habits, we aim to build positivity and create strong children who are rooted in values and ethics. It also enables teenagers to build leadership qualities and meaningful relationships with their peers. This platform enables children to become powerful citizens of the future who are driven by purpose towards our motto: one world, one family.
We teens are the next generation of leaders, teachers, and activists. We have our entire life ahead of us, full of opportunities to learn, share, and give back to this world. We have the power and responsibility to act in a conscious manner, ever mindful of Mother Earth. We have the power and responsibility to unite as the human race, beyond boundaries that society dictates. We must unify to work against the barbaric atrocities perpetrated against the animal and human world. Our club promotes this larger than life purpose, making us all winners. And that is our theme for today.
With that in mind, we'd like to ask Mohanji our first question. What does it mean to be a winner, and what does that take?
Beautiful. Actually, all the things which you said are really, really remarkable things. Now, my question is, do you believe in it? When you believe in it, means you should feel it. See, we hear lots of different things from the world, right? So much of information is coming into our brain. I'll answer your question. I heard your question. I'm just coming to that. We hear lots of things through internet, through media, through various ways it enters our system. How many stays in us? Just a fraction of it. And what happens usually? What's most compelling and what's most noisy takes our attention. We know very well that kindness and compassion are very, very effective things because we love to be kind. We love to be compassionate. When somebody loves us, we feel great. We know all these things. We know how we feel and how others will feel because how we feel is the same what they feel. But at the same time, when life takes over, would you maintain this stability? This is the question. So when we really, really believe in something, and that is on the top of our mind, and in any situation, then we are successful. So, what is a winner? What makes a winner? Number one is clarity of purpose. You need to know what you need in life. Because today, so many people say so many things to us. You should do this, you should do that, this is the best thing to do, this makes more money, this is the right career. All those things are fine. But what suits you is finally going to make you what suits you. Like there are so many varieties of shirts in the shop, various sizes. But what will you buy? What suits you? So what suits your body? What makes you comfortable? What does not give you pressure, but it gives you pleasure to do? That gives you success. To be a winner, first and foremost, we should have clarity of purpose. Second, we should have determination and discipline. Two D's, discipline and determination. Once you know where you are going, then nothing should stop you. People may say, like so many people told me when I left my job, or 20 years of career, hard work, so much of build up. I mean, it takes a lot of time to build up all this. And then one day I decided to call it a day. I quit. That time everybody said, you're foolish. It's idiotic to do this. But I decided that now onwards, I have to give myself to the world. What best you can give to the world? Yourself. It's not what you have. What you have may not stay. What you are will stay. You know the difference here? What you are, it will stay. What you have may come and go. So what exactly can you give to the world? Yourself. And when you give to the world yourself, people may accept, people may reject. So our success depends on how you can handle rejection. So many people will say you are very bad. They may even scandalize you. They may tell, see, that's what Mahatma Gandhi has said. If you choose to be yourself, if you choose to be independent, unique, you are unique anyway, but you choose to express your uniqueness, fiercely independent. Do you think the world will accept you as it is? They won't. World will try to tell, first they may ignore you. Okay, this guy is making a lot of noise now. After a while, he will be quiet. If you continue to do exactly what you do because you believe in it, then they may threaten you. Hey, you are not following the line. You are not in the line. You are independent. You are different. Might as well come in line or we will reject you. So threaten. So can you survive the threats? If you still believe in yourself, if you still believe in your conviction or you believe in what you do with conviction, then they may try to coax you. This fellow, oh, I'll give you something. Why did you come in line? No, follow the line. Be mediocre. Just become one brick on the wall. That's exactly what the education system does, right? They make bricks on the wall. Everybody standardized. If you are unique and you try to become or you try to express your uniqueness, world may not accept. And then eventually, when you are continuing, after all the turbulences, after all the tests, you still go ahead, decide that you will be successful, means success is a byproduct. Success is not what you choose. Your activity is what you choose. Your conviction is what you choose. And your determination is what you choose. Success is a byproduct. Success happens because you're clear and you're sure. So then what happens? Then the world will accept you. But for the world to accept you, it takes a lot of walk. You've got to literally walk on thorns before you reach the flower. So we see a lot of successful people. When you look back, how much turbulence they have gone through. You see, Walt Disney created a Mickey Mouse and he decided to make an animation stuff, and he went to various banks asking them to finance him. And they said, we finance for Mickey Mouse? No way. No, you bring some good business. This is nonsense business. We will not finance you. Nobody wanted to finance them. Nobody wanted to finance Disney. And finally, a 30th or 40th, I don't remember the exact, bank said, okay, we will give you some conditional financing, means for some time. Then the rest is history. You see, the bank grew with him. So if you are confident in what you believe in, you should actually have that firm faith in yourself. Don't worry about anybody else and don't depend on other people's words. Do you believe in yourself? This is the $1 million question. Do you have faith in yourself? Do you believe in yourself? And do you have clarity? And are you selfless about it? Don't do it just to make a little bit of money or just to have some name or fame or things which are all transitory. Maybe it will not stay. See, when people focus themselves on small things like a position or some possession, if it goes, they commit suicide. People go to depression or they even kill themselves. Why it's happening? Because their focus was on something movable, means it's changeable. So they can't handle it. But if your goal is very high, something large, brilliant, and you focus on that, and then you are fully dedicating yourself. As I said, the only thing you can deliver, you can confirm or deliver to the world is yourself. So your commitment is to that. The determination and the discipline is towards what you believe in. Right? So this makes a winner. So you need to be sure. And how do you know what is good for you? Have you thought about it? What suits you? What makes you feel good? What is effortless for you is the right thing for you. See, somebody says you should do mathematics, but arts is your subject. Arts makes you happy, feel excited, feel expanded. Then how does the other subjects help you? You need to have the stability and the conviction to follow what suits you. Then winner. And winning is an attitude. That attitude has something, a very important aspect of that attitude is handling failures. So many people have failed so many times before they became winners. Nobody just won immediately. You may fall 100 times, but each fall should be another inspiration. You know, sometimes people don't even think in those lines. People are afraid of failure because of public. the society. What will people think if I fail? People can think anything anyway. Are you really worried about the opinions of the world? World is full of opinions, but you have a reality. What is your reality? Your life. Your experience is your reality, which has nothing to do with people's opinions. People can have any opinion, but your reality is the most important thing for you. You know, as an external person, I can tell any opinion about anybody. This is my job, my prerogative. Whether I give opinion or not, that is my prerogative. But that should not affect a career of your chosen career. And don't be frustrated. Don't look at what gives you more money. Ask yourself, what gives me satisfaction? Contentment. Contentment is a very, very positive, solid thing in life. I call life, success of life, as contentment. Are you contented, satisfied with what you do? You know, even if it is not appreciated by the society, if you're satisfied, if you're contented, you're happy with yourself, that life is the best life. Not what the society approves and that you're suffering and you're dragging your feet and you're somehow managing a survival and not at all satisfied with life. This is not success. Maybe there will be a lot of wealth, possessions and positions. Inside you're crying. Is it successful life? I don't think so. I call success when you are happy, satisfied, every moment. Right?
Thank you, Mohanji, for your very valuable answer.
Thank you.
So
Our
let's
next,
move on to the next question.
yeah.
Yes.
So our next question is, what is your vision for the EBC teens?
Very good question. The Early Birds Club, actually, we few years ago, we had a kind of plan for waking up early and doing some practices. It was mostly connected to yoga practice. And we made a booklet, a small booklet. What do you do when you get up? We still have that booklet. Probably it's not printed more, but we have that booklet, which has yoga postures, what you should do for 1 hour and all those things. That was the initial thing. That was probably printed in 2012. Then at this point in time, the COVID situation happened. We are indoors, we can't go anywhere. Congregation is not possible. Traveling is not possible. There are so many limitations. So then I decided what we should do for creating. Then I joined a club called 4 a.m. Club. There's a group of people who wake up early at 4 a.m., etc. I like that method. So I took permission from them. I said, can I just copy your method but for a different purpose? So they said, please go ahead, no problem. So then the whole thing which we had created in 2012, we modified and created all online. And time zones are different. So if you don't put this whole project based on time zones, it is not practical. It's not practical. So what I did was that a group of people came together, Pratibha, then Preeti Gopalratnam, Meena, Madhu, Devi, a few people came together. And then from Australia onward, Sonia from Australia, all these people, what we did was we dissected the time zones. So there are about 100 time zones, I think, in the world. And some are not very much applicable for us because it depends on population also. If there are people there. So some time zones are insignificant, but the major time zones we decided to cover. And each time zone will have a separate body, a separate unit. And what we do is that we wake up early and with a clear understanding. There's no imaginary stuff here, no illusions. It is told in Ayurveda that your body rejuvenates itself between 9 p.m. and 12 midnight. That's the time when the body reboots itself. So if you sleep at that time, if you sleep by 9, that's why people used to go to bed at 8:30 in the past. Because before the electricity and all these things became rampant, it was happening. So 9 to 12, your body rejuvenates, reboots itself. It recorrects, it realigns. And 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., your mind reboots itself. So these two segments are very important. So I recommended that people go to bed early, let's say 9 o'clock, 9:30. So they get a bit of the rebooting time for yourself. When you sleep, and then sleeping is the best way to reboot, It means you are not active. Active means you can't reboot. When you are active, you can't reboot. So it has to be idle. Body has to be idle. So that's rebooting time. Then wake up at 3. See, I used to wake up always at 2:30 earlier when I used to do my practices. I was alone at that time. It was easier. 2:30, and I used to take a bath, and I'm ready for my practices at 3. And it was a huge impact in my life. It gave a huge impact in my life. How? Because that time nobody disturbs you. Number one, mobile does not ring. Nobody, this is your own time, private time, very, very powerful private time, personal time. And also, that's the time when mind reboots, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So, as the mind reboots, you use the mind as a vehicle to go into higher dimensions, different dimensions. So, that time was very, very good. So, this is what we kind of choreographed into Early Birds Club. This time is well used, and when you consistently use this time in a positive way, psychosomatic diseases are also solved in some degree at least, because there's no stress, or at least stress is reduced, anxiety is reduced, you're more focused on your activity, so you are stable, and your productivity is increased. You're cool. When you're cool, you when you're cool and not stressed, your ability to sink into a subject and perform becomes much easier. So people who go to offices, when they see a file, they automatically know what they have to do, because there is a kind of orchestrated concentration. Means orchestrated means you develop that in over some time, and you are concentrating well. And then when you are attending to this, you have no stress. So the anxiety, the guilt, the regrets of the past also get sorted out, because you are more in the present. See, when you do not attend to the past too much, you are more in the present. You are powerful. When do you become weaker? When do you lose energy? When mind goes to the past, over matters of the past, or the anxieties over future events, because we have what will happen in the future. There is an examination, there is a job to do, and will I be successful in my career? Doesn't matter. Today, you're stable. If you're stable today, tomorrow you will be stable. So, this EBC is to create successful people, stable people, oriented in themselves. See, the best place to settle down in life is yourself. If you have settled down in yourself and you concentrate on satisfaction and contentment factor, not selfishly, selflessly, and then you interact in this world, imagine how powerful personalities you will be, how powerful you will be in the society. People automatically respect you because you are stable. See, people do not respect people who are completely fragmented. What is you is fragmented, not the body, but the mind is fragmented. Mind is occupied with the past things, future things, not in the present. This fragments you. Imagine you are here, your concentration is good, your stability is good, you will be respected. So I'm creating very, very high quality people, a generation. So if you continuously do this, wake up early, be creative, be productive, only do things which are creative, no negative. Don't watch the world news and think how many people died on corona. That will probably make you more sick. Looking at all those negatives. So we're not worried about those negative stuff of the world, which is coming free. We're looking at positive. What are we thinking? What best I can do myself, and what best I can do for others. What else I can do for the world. These thoughts, these efforts will make you purposeful citizens. You know what I mean? So Early Birds Club has multiple dimensions we are still yet to explore. Plus, this is a good platform for interaction. Like, for example, Teams Club. A, a group of people of the same age group interacting with various different ethnicities and locations, time zones. You see how much your mind will expand. It's easy now. The success of Facebook was that. There are a lot of people who got introduced to Facebook. But here it is purposeful interactive friendship. That's the difference here. We are not just talking, how are you doing? Did you eat food? That's not the question we are asking. Hey, can we do something together? What else can we do for this world? How can we use our talents, unite our talents, and make something for the world so that when you leave this world eventually, you are leaving this world more better than you received it. The 100 years of human life on Earth, last 100 years, have messed up the world. This technological industrial revolution, like from the 1500s and things like that, has literally contaminated the world. So what we need to do now is to completely improve the world using our own effort, our own stability. That is the purpose of EPC. So what the world is today should not be the same. See, now we saw with the COVID situation, the air became purer, isn't it? When there was less pollution, the water became better, air is better, and we decided or we understood that we can sit at home and work as well. We were almost traveling unconsciously, so much of travel. We were traveling and we were engaging into food, certain food, because we thought that this is what we must have. Like we decided that the fast food joints are essential, but now they are some of them are open now, but before they were closed and we had no problem. We were still eating food. So we understood so much. COVID situation taught us so many things. Now it is for us to make it practical. The less dependency on the world outside, the more dependency on the world inside. That gives strength. If you have a lot of dependency on the world outside, you're always weak because your life depends on so many remote controls. Here, your dependency on yourself, you're powerful, and that makes a difference in the world. When you stand up, people will notice because you're stable, you're powerful, you're determined, you have conviction, your eyes will talk about conviction and strength and clarity. And that makes you good leaders. So EBC is creating quality leaders who knows what they are doing, who knows why they are doing, and who knows what to do when.
Thank you, Mohanji. And we have observed that in many of your talks, you emphasize the Early Birds Club's motto, which is One World, One Family.
Yes.
How did you develop the broad vision of One World, One Family?
Yes, Priya. One world, one family is a truth, right? It's not a slogan. See, it's a big world. What are we in this big world? One species, just one species. Forget about the caste, country, culture, color, religion. Remove all that. Then what are we? Just a species. So as a species, we have a big responsibility in this world. The responsibility that is entrusted on a species on Earth, that we have that. Every species which is under the guidance of nature perfectly handles this responsibility. You cannot see excesses in any of the animal kingdom. Everything is synchronized. But only when a tiger is hungry, he goes and kills some animal. He will not kill, okay, today I'm not busy, so let me kill a few animals. The tiger never do that. So human species, the relatively refined species, has much more responsibility. So first and foremost, we must consider the species together as one family. And we only have one world. Even if we go to moon or any other place, we got to create an environment for us to live. Forget about moon. If you go a few 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer up in the sky, there's no oxygen, isn't it? If you go down the earth, if you dig down and go below, there's no oxygen. So natural life is not possible for human beings in any plane unless there are artificial support or support from other gadgets. So we must understand this is the plane we have to exist. Earth is what we have. Earth is the only thing we have, and we have to take care of Earth. So first and foremost, we must recognize ourselves as one family. Then we must recognize the platform we are existing on perfectly well because that's the platform we have been given. So we must have great respect to mankind, to humanity, and also to the world, to ourselves as one unit, and also to the world as our platform. And this is the platform which is giving us a life. If this platform is contaminated, our life is contaminated. If this platform is affected, our life is affected. So this we must be very sure and very clear. So what happens now? Let's look at 2019. How many forest fires? How many species got destroyed? Billions of animals were killed. Australian fire, Amazon forest fire, all these fires literally ransacked the resources of Earth. It's sad, very, very sad. But, and then what we saw, all the human beings confined into their homes. Nature kept itself open for all the species except human species. So we have been behaving like parasites. We have been behaving like virus. We have not been trusting any species outside us, even our species. Look at what the religions have done. Divisions and wars, destruction, wars. Wars and wars are really our creation, human creation. We don't need them. Our job is not to kill people. Our job is to exist together, one family, as one family. So that is why I'm insisting on this thought of one world and one family, because you've got to be together as a family and don't see the differences. Instead, see the unity. That makes us successful. Life becomes meaningful. We got to have a meaningful life. For that, we must look at ourselves as one family. We are one family. Why not? Why does language, caste, country, culture, color, community, religion divide people? It's abnormal, isn't it? It's a perversion, actually. To divide people is a perversion. Our mind is perverted to think that people are different. Everybody are same. All people love to love. All people fear death, war, destruction, displacement, they fear. Nobody, no people, not people, any species you take, they're afraid of attacks, wars, death. Everybody has major instinct, survival instinct. We are all programmed to survive. And this is one of the major ingredients of the creation. Every creation has been, this software is put in, all creation to survive. That's what the animal kingdom experiences. We experience, but we are refined. We have imagination. We have greater imagination. We have greater intelligence. But what did we do with all this? We created major war machines with our intelligence. We created machines which controls us, which denies us our natural existence. See, nature is denied to people. And whatever little nature we have, we are destroying. We must revise our thoughts, reboot, reinvent ours. That is why I was very keen on Early Birds Club. We have to, this is the platform for reinvention, making powerful people, ability to turn the world around with awareness, with clarity. This is what I wanted to create. So this is why one world and one family. That's actually the truth, and that's actually our reality.
Thank you, Mohanji, for your answer. So nowadays, the environment is being exploited with little consideration given to the other beings in this world. So as teens, what is our responsibility regarding the environment?
Thank you, Nanda. Well, are you able to listen to me clearly? Is my sound audible?
Yes.
Yeah, you're perfectly audible.
Yeah, the questions are similar.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I was told that the sound is not very clear, probably on Facebook. Anyway, Nanda, the responsibility as human beings, as a refined species, is very high. We have all the weaknesses, means, like, for example, an animal which exists in the cold areas, like a polar bear, is given a skin and its covering to protect itself from the extreme cold climate. But for humans, we we swapped those natural protection for the sake of superior intellect. So we have higher intelligence. With our higher intelligence, we are able to do things which none of the other species are able to do. So we have a responsibility towards all species. So this higher intelligence does not mean that we have detached ourselves from the instincts, especially survival instincts. We all have survival instincts. But we as a species have overgrown ourselves in numbers as well as in requirements. So we encroach into every place. We encroach into air, we encroach into oceans, we encroach into forests, we encroach into every place. But then we said we have right to do that. All the time we are wearing rights. Everybody is fighting for rights. Riots are made for rights. But responsibility, nobody speaks. This is especially the responsibility aspect that we need to address. We need to address the aspect of responsibility. If we consider ourselves as a superior species with a superior intellect, we have a better awareness, we have understanding, we have imagination, we have great capacities which other species do not have. It's our right and responsibility equally to take care of them, not to use them, abuse them, manipulate them, or kill them. I have always been a strong advocate of animal equality, but I don't like to. I like to use the word animal rights because that's actually I feel is a discrimination. It's like a choice. It's not a choice. I always used to say it is time we scrap human rights and animal rights as separate and merge it together as being right. Being right. This is what the world needs today. You've got to be right. What is rightness? Be kind. What is the highest of human expression? Compassion, selflessness, acceptance, understanding and awareness, kindness. This is all important. So at this point in time, we must cultivate the highest of human qualities. We must talk about it through any media possible. It can be visual media, audio media, written media, any media. But we must make people aware. Look here, this world is is a gift which is given to us. This world is not ours. We are here on a tourist visa. We are here only for some time. Between the birth and death, we have certain time. In this time, we are trying to explore the world, experience the world. We can take experiences, but we cannot take the world. World is not ours. World is for everybody. All these ants and insects and what flies in the air and what swims in the water, everybody have the same right on earth. It belongs to all people. People means species. See, when I say people, it is not human people. I believe that every species has people in it. Means they all have personality. All beings have personality. Even our domestic animals, you can see they have a personality. Whatever has a personality is a person. So I call every being as people because they have their happiness, they have their sorrows, they have likes, dislikes, needs, wants, so many things. So all are important. It's our right, more than right. It's our responsibility to look after them, take care of them, be kind to them. You know, every being responds to kindness. Now, and you know what? Our own energy changes when we are compassionate and kind to all species, not only to the species sitting at home, not that our domesticated animals, every species. I'll give you one example. Once I was visiting Vietnam, and the people took me to an island just it was recreation, just to have lunch in an island. So we would travel through in a boat and a little bit, then you reach the island. And this is isolated island. When the boat was reaching the island, from there I could see there's an elephant tied to the tree, and there are a few horses, monkeys, a few animals. And when I got out of the boat, one horse came straight to me. It walked all the way from a distance. It came straight, as if it's coming to receive me. It was very interesting. All these people did not know why it's coming to me, and it came straight to me. And then they tried to shoo the horse away, but it didn't go. Just went a little bit backwards, then again it came. I started walking. The elephant was tied to the tree, but when I was walking, the elephant was turning towards me. And when I walked through, it was looking at me as if it wanted to come near me. Meanwhile, the horse was following me. Behind all these people, the horse was there. When I made a tour in that island, all the time the horse was with me, and then we sat down, we had some tea and snacks, and we came back. And when I entered the boat, until the boat, the horse came. It's almost like the horse was thanking me for the work I do in the world. That kind of heart to heart connection. This is what happens when we are kind and compassionate consistently. We should never pretend. We should mean it. We should do it with full conviction. And we should do it with honesty. Then they all respond to you. You will not know how much of love which comes to you. It just travels. So this is what I'm saying. We have to cultivate this in the world. This is why I wanted to create a platform, and you people are doing a great job, by the way. And also, I would like you to spread this information, this thought in the world through audio, visuals, videos, YouTube, whatever, and bring in more people to this thought process and create a movement, not an organization, a movement where the people are looking at possibilities of compassion, how we can do better for the world, how we can take care of sick and old, how we can be more kind to the beings of earth, things like that. Forward.
Thank you, Mohanji, for your valuable answer. The main idea of EBC is to inculcate the habit of rising early in teens. Why is it important to wake up early and follow a productive morning routine?
I have answered that question, I believe, because
Yeah. I think this was a frequently asked question on Telegram as well. So I think since you've answered that, we can move on.
Yeah. If you want clarity, I will give you clarity.
You have to elaborate more on it. It's your choice.
Well, I believe, the reason for starting this, as I told, is that when you start getting up early, you have less anxiety in life. You have your time. See, the personal time which people really, really need is not available most of the time. People do not have personal time with yourself. We are all busy having time with other people. What is happening when you have time with other people? Sometimes you're getting distracted. More inputs means sometimes more distraction, less you. Information explosion is happening today through internet, through people's mouths, through television. Information is coming and coming and coming into you. But what you can process is only what belongs to you. Only that belongs to you as knowledge. And what you experience, that's the only thing which becomes wisdom. So every information does not get converted to wisdom. Very few become knowledge. We have so much of information. See, I always have a favorite quote regarding this. You heard about Sherlock Holmes, right? Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes, a detective. This Sherlock Holmes had a companion called Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson asked Sherlock Holmes, you are very intelligent. How are you able to solve this troubled or this tough cases of crimes so easily? You are effortlessly solving them. Even the Scotland Yard is not able to do that, but you do. How do you do that? He said, Watson, that's very simple. My mind is not cluttered. My intellect is not cluttered with information. What information I have is well aligned, well kept, like the library behind you. All the books are well kept. Now, if you want to pick up a book, it's easy. Imagine all the books are spread on the floor. All are jumbled up like a pile, mountain. If your teacher or your father asks you, can you get me that book? Where will you get the book from? You got to literally go through all these books to find the right book. Like that, our mind is cluttered with unnecessary information. Instead, if you have clarity, you have stability, and you have effectiveness. Clarity is very important. So, uh, when you wake up early, that time there's no disturbance. That time you can spend with yourself, assimilate yourself, align yourself, be with yourself, and appreciate yourself. Appreciate that you are born, you're here, you have all these people with you, you have connections, you have all. See, look at EBC now. How many countries you linked in no time? And not just linking, effective linking means you know these people. They almost become your family. They have to become your family. They are like family. So this informal family ship, all this is strengthening you. You become better citizens. You become better people. And this is very important. So waking up early is not just for you. It's for the society. It's for the world. So if you are able to focus yourself on yourself in a qualitative way, early morning, with alignment, with determination and discipline, it should be continuous. Not that there is a saying, how do you know how much lazy you are? It depends on the time when you wake up and the time when you get up. You know what I mean? The time you wake up and the time you get out of the bed. If you lie down and think, oh, what will I do today? It's just so boring to get up, etc., then means you are very lazy. If you get up, when you wake up in the morning and you are already ready for getting up, that means you have no inertia, no procrastination, no tamas. Means you are clear. And then you go through the routines and then you have a perfect life. So this discipline will definitely help you in your life and career. And also you will make a difference in people's lives. When you're stable, when you're rock solid, people will want to be friends with you. When you change people, that's your insecurity probably. You know, I want to have friends with these people, but then they are not caring about me because you're giving them nothing. Why should somebody care for you? When you are stable and when you are completely into yourself, not selfishly, if you are fully aligned, people will want to be with you in your company. So that is why early birds club are very important. And this you should tell to your friends and bring in more people. This is free. There's no cost here. So bring people and make people more powerful. So when you add value in the lives of people, they add value into your life. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you get. No, we can't live selfishly anymore. With our life of selfishness, we have all been indoors forcefully. Correct? All our privileges were taken off because we've been selfish. We can't be selfish anymore. We got to practice selflessness. We got to unite as one family. This is right now, here. It's now or never.
Thank you, Mohanji. Like you mentioned, teens in today's day and age often have a lot of clutter in their minds, which hinders their ability to make the right decisions. So, how should teens cultivate mindfulness and remain level-headed when making decisions?
Very good question, Priya. See, the reason for clutter is sometimes delivered in dished into your mind. Means somebody put this in your plate. It's probably not that all the people went and chose all this clutter. It's that the system, a social system, where it says you've got to be successful. Pressure happens, right? When somebody says you have no option for failure, how will you feel? Too stressed about anything. But if somebody says failures are stepping stones for eventual success, that gives you momentum for trying at least. Now, many people do not even try because they don't want to fail. Life is missed, opportunities are missed, experiences are missed. So, what you should do, how to unclutter? First and foremost, understand yourself. This is the elementary number one. If you don't know you, you can't know the world. We don't spend enough time with ourselves. That's why I created Early Birds Club and I said that you must get up early. So that's the only time when you don't have the outside pressure from outside. Please remember one thing very clearly. Only when you wake up in the morning, you have a world outside for you to use. And when you go to bed and sleep in the night, you don't have that world. So this world outside is accessible only in your waking state. But there is a time when you are not in this world like this, non-waking state, still you are with you. You have your experience. See, for example, you had a good sleep and you woke up and I am asking you, Priya, did you sleep well? Ah, it was good. I feel good. You did not have the world outside. You did not have any gadgets to give you pleasure. You did not have relations or relationships to give you pleasure or experience, but still you were happy. Why did you become happy? So there is a chance for us to be happy with ourselves, right? This option is not explored. This option is not explored. That means we have not connected to ourselves. We have not observed ourselves. We have not aligned with ourselves. We have not been with ourselves. Instead, what we have been doing, chasing things. I want this, I want that, I should be this, I should be that, this position, and mad rush. In the bargain, you don't exist. That's where the problem is. That's what's bringing you clutter. Correct? So, how do you unclutter? The answer is in the question. You first and foremost spend time with yourself. Second point, ask yourself, what makes me stable? What makes me unstable? What suits me? What does not suit me? What gives me pressure? What gives me pleasure? And choose what suits you, what is effortless for you, what gives you pleasure. There you can attain success. Because it's effortless for you to do those things. If you are under pressure and you are dragging your feet, you're tired and you've got to do it. See, there's a thing which what you love to do and what you have to do in life, right? If you focus in the study in the initial days on what you love to do and you give full attention application, avoid distraction from people saying that you are foolish, you should not do that, you will fail. All those are people's opinions. See, remember one thing, the world is full of opinions, not always reality. That you must understand. All the people who are talking opinions. They are opinions of people. It may not be reality. It may be from fear also. They may be storing fears and giving you opinions. Oh, don't do that, don't do that. Yeah, I have failed. But if they have failed, it's their problem. Why should I worry? Why should I deny my experience? Because somebody has failed in something. You know, when I started AmmuCare in 2003, people ask me the question, mainly the people whom I invited to be part of it, they ask me the question, do you have a lot of money with you? I said, no, I don't have. Then they ask me the question, do you have people with a lot of money with you? I said, no, I don't have. Then they already forecasted, saying that this will not last for 1 year. AmmuCare will not stay for 1 year. I told this, AmmuCare will not stay for 1 year. The today 17th year and still going strong. I believed in it. When Times of India asked me this question, what's your investment in AmmuCare? I said myself. So the only investment you can do in this life or in your life is yourself. Everything outside is not yours. Your relations, your places, your time, your other things, gadgets, materials, they are all outside. You cannot count on them always. But what you can count on? You. So it's your conviction, it's your determination, it's your vision which takes you forward. So this, if you have understood well, you will not have clutter. First and foremost, your dependency itself changes. If somebody does something for me, then I will do means it will not work. Imagine that person decides not to do. Now what will you do? Oh my God, I expected that person to support me, but he did. So this is how we see failures, right? Our dependency on somebody else. What I do normally is I do what I have to do 100%. I delegate 100%, but I supervise. I don't just give it away. I delegate. Because you got to make teams. This team is very important to do larger things. But you must keep an eye to what. Are you happy? Are you doing it well? Is it on time? All those things. So to be uncluttered, you've got to have clarity. Really, you should know what you want to do. You should also have a clear vision about this. You can delegate, but you should provide. So basically, it's about aligning ourselves, and that will unclutter. And don't take trash from people. There are a lot of opinions which hardly people are happy to give advices. I tell people if I announce a project, not now, earlier, because oh, Mohanji, that won't work. It won't work. They already decide. So I always tell one thing. Don't tell me 20 things you cannot do. Tell me one thing you can do. Let's start talking from there. So converting everything negative to positive is very important for our sake. Otherwise, we get drowned. So we get drowned. So they pull us down. Like a person who's drowning. You go and catch them, they catch you and they pull you down. And then both of you will drink water. You know. So this is very important. Depend on yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your vision. You should have vision, clear vision. If somebody asks you what you want to be, don't say, I just want to get a job and earn some money and have children and then die. Not like that. If the vision, if you create a vision, the vision should be very, really, really good and work towards it, then the other things become insignificant. And if you really believe in your vision, success is guaranteed. You should believe in it. Never doubt. Never doubt yourself. Never doubt your vision. You should do your homework well. And okay, this is what I want to achieve in life. Achieve it. There you put your signature on earth.
Thank you, Mohanji, for your valuable answer. This is a question which is asked in the world very frequently by teens. How can we improve our focus and concentration?
Focus and concentration. You went to NASA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How was there? How was it there?
Yeah, it was very nice. I loved being there. I saw a lot of things that no one can imagine, and I had the actual experience, not the actual experience, kind of like a simulator of how people go up in space. That was life changing.
You saw a lot of people's intelligence concentrated there. So many scientists, they had concentrated, I mean, they have the input concentrated on something like that there. So how the concentration works there?
So so actually, the thing that I noticed about concentration was actually when there was a segment where we actually met an astronaut. So to be exact, it was astronaut John Blaha. So he's been to space about 3 times. So he actually told everything about space, and he remembered, and he concentrated on little factors of how you go into space and everything. And he said that it is very important to concentrate while you're at the ISS, which is the International Space Station. You have to concentrate and focus whenever you're doing any task. So yes.
What's the question?
Pardon?
What was your question to me?
So yeah. So my question was to you: how can we improve our focus and concentration?
So here what you said is true. That astronaut cannot go anywhere until and unless the gadgets are good. Correct? The
Yes.
training. So many people's efforts, thoughts, vision, everything came together so that this astronaut could go, John could go to space.
Yes.
John alone cannot go to space, right?
Yeah.
So one of the key ingredients, what is there? It's purpose. Clarity of purpose.
Concentration.
Yeah, clarity of purpose. No, you need to have clarity of purpose for concentration. If you don't know what you're focusing on, you won't have concentration. Distraction is the result. So when you saw this whole NASA situation, so many people's brain is behind it. So many people. And they all have created all these things based on one vision. One vision like take this man to the moon or take this man to the outer space.
Yeah.
Mars, whatever you call it. So the vision was that, correct? The concentration is channeled when the vision is perfect. If vision is not there, how can you channel concentration? So your vision is the most important thing here. Focus happens when vision is clear. And inspiration is that, like, it should be self-inspiration. Inspiration is that I have to achieve this within this time. And that inspiration should be from inside. That will happen only when you love doing it. If an activity is something which you love to do, automatically you will be inspired. Imagine an activity you have to do. Do you think you will be having that focus and concentration? Many people in many offices are in that mode. They're doing it only for salary. There is nothing in life. Dry. The moment if you are self-inspired, that means you love what you do. The world changes. Totally different.
So having passion in whatever you do also increases your concentration, right?
That is essential.
That's what I could assimilate from.
Correct. Passion comes when you have clarity and you love what you do. Passion is a byproduct. For passion to happen, you must love what you do. If you're doing it for anything else, for the sake of money, for the sake of proving something to somebody, it won't last. End of the day, you won't be happy. Or you did that, I'm glad it's over. You know?
Yeah. Thank you, Mohanji. I have observed with many friends of mine and myself that we often tend to procrastinate. Our mind somehow manages to push away the things we plan, and it ends up never getting done. So how can we avoid procrastination?
Procrastination is habitual. You know, it is not that you choose to procrastinate. See, for example, there is shelter, there is food, there is a car, and there is McDonald's around the corner. Then you decide, okay, now let me be a couch potato. There's nothing much to do. That's habitual. Most of the time when procrastination is happening, it's habitual. Not that you choose to be procrastinating. You're not that you choose to procrastinate. But how do you change it? When you decide, I will do something good for the world. I have to be, see, there are 7.5 billion people on earth. How many people do you know now? Hardly anybody, right? 5%. Visibility is only that much. So many people have earned money for themselves, but they are only rich men. The world doesn't care about them. They've taken something from earth and they've put it with them. That's all they have done. But your effectiveness happens when you are not worried about what earth gives you. Instead, you are only concentrating on what you give to earth. Imagine that kind of a situation. Do you think procrastination will be there? Automatically, you will be inspired. So when there is inspiration to do something larger for the world, and doesn't matter whether the world appreciates or rejects you, doesn't matter what you get out of the world, but you are here to give to the world. If that kind of a situation happens, you will not have procrastination. You will automatically jump out of the bed because you will not waste any time. When there is nothing to do, when you are just kind of taking it easy and then, today I will do it tomorrow, because that comfort zone is a problem. You know, there is a saying, the farmer is farming, the bullock cart is bringing the crop to your home, your cook is cooking, and your mother is serving, so I'm eating. You know, that means the lazy, sedentary lifestyle. This is possible because environment provides you, but it is our job not to be bogged down by it. Our job is to raise our awareness to the higher, go for the larger purpose, not just having a family and settle down, not that, settle down inside you, but do something for the world. Depend on yourself, give yourself to the world, then the world will give itself to you. That makes glory, that brings glory. The secret of glory is how much you are able to give yourself to the world. That's the secret of glory. Otherwise, people are living and dying selfish purposes. Eat, drink, sleep. They have some pleasure, intellectual pleasure, emotional pleasure, physical pleasure. Finished. Dead. Nobody cares. Yeah. This is it. Over.
Thank you, Mohanji. So motivation and confidence are vital to fulfilling any goal in life. So how can we as teens improve our self-confidence and remain self-motivated towards our vision?
I think I have answered that question, Shreya, but I will tell you something else. See, as I told you earlier, the best and the most important contribution you can give to the world is yourself. Whatever else is yours, you think yours is probably not yours. But you are the most authentic expression of yourself. You, yourself. Most authentic, most qualitative expression of in this world is yourself. But when you are delivering yourself, how you are delivering yourself? If you imagine you're delivering yourself without conviction of your activity, without any clarity of purpose, etc., then people will not take you seriously. You got to lead by example. You got to live what you believe in. You got to live and prove that way, not through mouth, but through your life. Not through words, but through your life. That is exactly how. When you wake up early and you are stable in life, and when you are delivering that stability to the world, people will ask you, how are you able to do that? Where is this confidence coming from? When you need nothing from the world, you are super confident. You know, when you are here to deliver more than you receive or take, you're very powerful. Nobody can beat you, defeat you in the world because you are not expecting anything back. Expectations weakens us. Expectations, too much expectations weakens us, gives us disappointment. Too much expectation. So when we see the society tells you or the education system tells you compete, what to compete? Instead you perfect. That is your answer. Your answer is not by running and beating somebody. Instead, your answer is stability, confidence. By confidence, by being you. If you are yourself, you can be very confident. If you try to be somebody else, they are already taken. You cannot be somebody else. And you try to compete with a person, that's complete nonsensical. You will not feel confident. Being you is your biggest strength. Your highest confidence is being you. So this is the best thing you can give to the world. If somebody asks you how you are confident, just have to say, I live as myself. People will have many opinions about you. You should not do that. You should behave like this. You should walk like this, talk like this, dress like this. That is their opinion. You have nothing to do with it. You do what is comfortable for you and express your highest potential, human potential into this world. And that is compassion, kindness, selflessness, non-violence, truthfulness, honesty, humility. This you express to the world and see what happens. The world will stand up and applaud and say, this was a person. You see, to create powerful people, you have to create yourself. To create a powerful personality, you have to create yourself. And you have it. You don't have to take it from outside. You already have it. Just have to live it.
Thank you for the answer, Mohanji. Since we have been okay, actually, I believe that every person is born with a purpose in life, but people tend to be ignorant and have a wrong attitude, which in turn causes them to stray away and not discover their true purpose in life. How can we identify a purpose and become goal driven?
The purpose, the true purpose is the purpose of liberation. Liberation means a liberated existence, not a spiritual purpose. A liberated existence means, imagine you are bound by addictions, even a tea or a coffee. Imagine you are bound by people. Means if without that person you have no existence. Imagine you are bound by places. This, if I move out of this house, I am insecure. Imagine all these bindings are away. That is liberation. Means You're happy they are there, but you are not bound by them. That liberated existence. That is the number one thing. You should always be liberated. If a thing is there, the person is there or not, the thing is there or not, you are stable. Stability. So that is something initially. Then what is the purpose? How best you can utilize this life for the sake of the world and earn glory. And what is glory? When you give yourself unconditionally to the world, that brings you glory. Selfishness will not bring you glory. If people have to respect you, you got to earn it. How do you earn it? By consistently being yourself and selflessly being yourself. By being unconditional. By not expecting anything from people. If something comes to you from people, be grateful. Be happy, grateful. But if something does not come at all, no problem. So you are stable where you are not dependent on people. And that's a real way to focus on your vision. And the vision should be something larger, not just a small vision or get a job or get some earning and then have some alcohol or sleep or things like that. This is not the real vision. Vision is something which will transform you right now. A true vision is something which inspires you right now. Create that vision. Ask yourself, what do I want to do in this life? Imagine at the age of 80, 90, 100, whatever, you're lying on your deathbed and you're thinking, what did I do in life? Am I happy? Am I contented? Am I satisfied? If you are happy, contented, and satisfied at the time of your death, you had a great life. If you have regrets, if you have confusions, and you oh my God, I just wasted my life. I was living a life of insecurities or life of illusions. That's not what you want, right? So think about the vision, where at the end of the day, you should be peaceful. You should be contented. Life is evolving you every moment. Every day is a new day, a new birth, a new beginning. So never lose focus. I have created all these platforms so that people can actualize themselves. That's why I created all this. Not for me. I'm invisible in most of these cases. But the main thing is that you create a society which is substantial, unconditional, selfless, with attitude of non-violence and compassion. This is what we have to do. So what is the real purpose of life? Ask yourself, what do you want in life? What do you want to earn? See, you can choose a path like an engineer, doctor, pilot, IT technician, whatever. That's all means or path. That's not your goal or final end. See, you may be working, let's say effectively, maybe up to 60. Then your effectiveness goes. So the real life, active life, the life, L-I-F-E in capital letter, is only between about 20 to, let's say, 60, if you stretch it that much. After that, before that, you don't know, you're just preparing yourself for life before 20. And after 60, you're winding up. So this is the only time, about 40 years of effective life. In that effective life, what do you want to do? This is the question. It's not about your relations or the possessions you make or the positions you create in the world. It's about satisfaction, contentment, happiness. So that you consider as the root ingredients for a great vision.
So,
I'm sure the teens have a lot of things to ask, but in the best interest of time, I think Mohanji also would have some other programs. So can I request
we
Aryan?
just end up with the last two questions. So I'll just give the questions in brief. So the one of the question is that teens have these hormonal changes and they tend to get very impulsive and angry. So in this process, they tend to make wrong decisions. So that is one question. And the second question is, how can you redefine, or what is the ideal relationship between a teen and the parent?
I'll answer the last question first. In one word, friendship. There's no mother, father, children. It's friendship. So in this age, what you need is friendship. You are able to communicate freely. You are able to unite well, and talk freely as a friend. This is the second question. And the first thing is that how do you handle this time? Very simple. You handle this time as you want people to handle you. How you want to react, how you want people to react to you or respond to you. Like with kindness, love, compassion, understanding, same way you respond to the world around you. Because in times of transition, always we must go on a back foot and look at life. We should look at life impersonally. You know, there will be so many provocations, so many things will be happening in life. Body is changing, mind is changing, awarenesses are changing. So this is a good time, beautiful time, because you're not yet settled. So now you can position yourself like it's like a playing ground. You have not yet built the house. So now you can plan well and build the house. So how do you want to plan the house? With compassion, kindness, stability. Focus on stability. And it's very difficult to be stable in an unstable time. If the earthquake is happening, you can't build a house there. So in turbulent times, you've got to be watching, witnessing, responding, not reacting. Learn to respond. Respond means what? Imagine somebody called you a monkey. Don't immediately respond saying that you are two monkeys. What do you say? Maybe you need to wear spectacles. You can't see well. You know? So, like, if you're able to understand, assimilate, and be cool, it's good to be cool as teens, right? So, I keep a mindset of a teenager always. People don't like it, but I still do. So I like to be young. Why should we get old? I think I'll be young until I die because I am innovative, I'm creative all the time, and I see people they decide to be old at the age of 40 and look at like old people. Sometimes I call them grandfathers, but that's the way the mind works, right? So you have can be extremely matured now, not in the age, but in attitude. When people are, so you watch, understand, and talk, not react. So when there is a calamity outside, non-violence is the best attitude. Gandhiji perfected it, performed it and perfected it. When there were violence, with his non-violence, he changed the mindset of people. Otherwise, India would have burned more. So this is my answer. But between parents, between teachers, try to bring a friendship where communication becomes smooth. There's no commanding, there's no suppression, there's no judgment. All those things are unnecessary. I hope I've answered this.
Yes, Mohanji. I think now Shaurya and Shreya will sum up this productive meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Aryan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mohanji, for answering all our questions. These questions cover almost all aspects of a teen's life. We are indeed very grateful to you for showing us to the path towards fulfilling our purpose and becoming winners. I would also like to thank the audience for lending us their time to further understand the role of teens in this world.
Our early birds. Sorry for interrupting. Our Early Birds Teen Club seeks to empower the youth through building meaningful relationships steeped in values and ethics. Everyone is welcome. For more information, please visit our Facebook page at Early Birds Club-Teens. Thank you, Mohanji.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohanji.
Great success.